All right, Nick, we ready? Back to
Yes,
back.
sir.
Here we go. We're flying, and we're ready to go. Here we go. Let's welcome another Philly boy, Mr. John Corabi. John, how you doing?
I'm all right, brother. How are you?
Good, man. It's like Philly rock night.
Yes, it is.
Hey, I had forgot all about this, and then as I was, looking up stuff about you, I remembered. I was like, holy shit. An old band you were in years ago, and I remember I had the flyer for it and all. Fragile, playing at,
Yes.
the Waverly Theater.
Yes. Very, 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 very long time ago. I was actually a waiter at the Last Supper, if that gives anybody any inkling about how long ago it was.
I'll tell you what. I
put that band together right after Jesus was crucified.
Oh, that's too funny. But I used to think Fragile was the coolest rock band name.
You know what? It was just one of those things where we were trying to find, the name, and I've gone through this several times where different bands that I put together different bands and whatever, and we were trying to find the coolest name ever, and it just wound up being something that was right under our nose, and even the Scream, we had Saints or Sinners, and we had this, we had that, and then Union, we had 50 different names. We were trying to think of the coolest thing, and it just wound up being just some word that, the Scream or
right.
Union, and it just wound up being something cool that nobody actually thought of. It was probably because it was just too obvious, you know what I mean? Feet. Let's call the band Feet. Whatever, and it just wound up working for me. So Fragile was one of those things where we were, you see it everywhere. Every package you ship or whatever, it's stamped Fragile, don't break, whatever. And so we said, let's use this. So I'm sorry if it's a little loud right now. I'm at a bar in Nashville, Tennessee right now, having a couple cocktails with my girlfriend. So it's a little loud. I apologize.
That's all right. Actually, we don't hear nothing, so you're good. We just hear you.
Okay. I'm just saying, well, I hear a train in the background that's really loud, so anyway, it's all good.
So now, are you is Nashville your home now, or?
Yes, I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. I moved to L.A. in probably 1985 or 86, something like that. Lived there for 20 years and just got tired of the traffic and psycho women. And I decided to move to, I came to Nashville a few times, probably around 2005, 2006. I came here to write music with other people for their records. And I came down a few times and I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool here. Everybody's really laid back and it's just a really cool vibe. And there's something that I miss, even when I was growing up in Philadelphia, back in the, 60s and early 70s, everybody knew what everybody else was doing. And my neighbors, when my mom was working, everybody would watch each other's kids. And
right.
There was that thing where you'd see your neighbors and go, hey, man, how are you? What's going on in your life? And everybody talked to everybody, and it was weird. I lived in L.A. for 20 years, and nobody, I couldn't even tell you who my neighbors were. And there's still that element here. I can walk into any bar in Nashville at any time and belly up to the bar, and somebody will just start talking to me, not because they know who I am. It's just, they'll just start talking, and it's, whether it's about football or life or, whatever, people just talk. They just talk. They're very,
right.
open, and and I like that. You know what I mean? So I came here a few times, and I thought it was really cool and very laid back. And I moved here in 2007, and I'm beyond happy here, and I love it here. I'm very close to Philly. I was just in Philly last weekend to visit my dad. Nice. And, I went to go visit my dad. He's not feeling very well, so I went to go visit him for the weekend, and I hung out, and, I went to a few bars and hung out with my brothers and sisters, and it was, all good. Philly's Philly. I get a cheesesteak, a taste of cake, and talk about the Eagles. I'm all good.
You know what? That was one of my questions. I want to say, who's your favorite cheesesteak in Philly when you come home?
You know what? It's really weird. Like, some people say Pat, some people say Gino's, and those two places are like the staples. Like that's almost like the touristy area.
Yeah.
But you know it as well as I do that there's probably 50 other places that have better cheesesteaks and better hoagies or whatever than those two places. But that's the place. If you go to Philadelphia and you want a cheesesteak, you got to go to one of those two places and say, oh, I had a cheesesteak at Pat's or I had a cheesesteak at Gino's and call it a day, whatever. But I was born and raised there, so I know like a bunch of other places that give you more meat, more cheese, bigger whatever, you know what I mean? So
right.
I'm all about that shit, so it's all good.
Oh, that's funny. Now, when you moved out to L.A., I mean, were you scared? Were you intimidated by it? I mean, you went like in the mid-'80s as everything was really breaking and leaving the Philly scene. I mean, it had to be like a scary thing for you.
Dude, I was honestly, if I can be frank, I was fucking terrified. Like, I'm moving across, like, completely on the other side of this country, and I'm gonna try and make a name for myself. And
right.
I don't know how it worked. I just went. I'm like, I got to make this happen. Like, I was not going to be denied from what I wanted to do personally. And it's funny. Like I was playing in, I used to play at the Galaxy Theater and Dick Lee's and all those places doing my original thing. And there wasn't really much of an original market for bands like me at the time. And a buddy of mine, Johnny D, who plays with Doro and played with Brittany Fox, he went out to California and he went for like a visit with a couple buddies, and he just happened to see Rat and a few other bands, like right before Rat released their first record. He went out and he saw them while they were still playing clubs, and he's like, dude, we got to go out there. We got to go out there. And, so he talked to us about it. So we all decided to move out, and we all went out at like one at a time, like over the course of a year. And then at the last minute, Johnny wound up getting a Brittany Fox gig, and I hired a guy named Robert Iezzi to play drums for us, also from South Philadelphia. And, we went out, we did our thing, and in the beginning it was hard, there's like all the clubs in LA it was kind of a pay-for-play thing. Like you had to sign a contract and say that you would sell 50 tickets or 100 tickets at $10 a pop. And so the whoever was promoting the show was basically guaranteed by each band, they were going to make, 100 tickets at $10 a pop. They were going to make $1,000 win, lose, or draw. And It was hard for us, but we went out and we did it. And in a very short period of time, like we went out, we threw down, we did our homework, we wrote songs, and we worked on our image and everything, and we wound up being one of the pretty good drawing bands in LA. Unfortunately, because of if I may say it, there was definitely some party issues and drug issues with the band, and we went up falling apart, and then I put the Scream together, and, you know, the rest is history, as they say, Scream, Motley, Union, whatever. But
right.
we went out. We were all terrified. We had no fucking idea how this whole thing was going to turn out for us. But we just said, fuck it, you know what, let's just go out and make it happen. We all wanted to be successful musicians or rock stars or whatever you want to call it, and we made it happen.
You got to look back at that now and think to yourself, I mean, it was probably definitely said a lot about yourself, because taking such a leap like that, and how many other people have tried that, and either that you know, they got eaten alive in the town, or they lasted a few days, a few weeks, a few months, and came back home. Where you stuck it out, you were out there for 20 years. You have now, you know, 30 years later almost, you have this long-lasting career, and you're still being able to do your passion and make a living at it.
You know, it's really weird. You know, honestly, I tell everybody, you know, everybody, like I do shows, and people, like these kids come up to me and they're like, hey, I want to be a musician. Like, can you give me any advice? And I'm basically like, you know what, honestly, don't take no for an answer. If you believe in yourself and you think that you know, if you think that you've got something to offer the music industry, go for it. I mean, at the end of the day, we can all look at, you know, historically, we can look at bands like, I mean, even if you look at the Beatles, you know, some people like the Beatles, some people like the Stones, whatever. But, you know, if you look at the Beatles, they were denied by every record fucking label on the planet. Like, nobody wanted anything to do with them. And then they found George Martin, and they did some backdoor fucking record deal thing. And they wound up being probably the most influential, greatest band in history. And it's just because they believed in themselves, and they didn't take no for an answer. And I don't care what it is, like, especially nowadays with the internet and YouTube and all these different things, anybody that wants it bad enough can make it happen. They can make it happen. It's just, you just can't get frustrated, and you can't quit. You can't quit. If you quit, you're a quitter. That's all I have to say, period.
Now, is that the same, like, your son is a musician now as well, correct?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. My son recently moved from L.A. He came here. He called me up on the phone, and we had a long talk on the phone, and he moved to Nashville, and he lives like 2 blocks from my house. And we had a father-to-son talk, and he goes, you know, I've always just wanted to play in your band. And so I go, okay, you want to play in my band? Here's the songs. Learn them. Do your best. And it's your gig to lose. If you're irresponsible or you're an idiot, I love you. You're my son, but I'm going to fucking fire you if you don't do your fucking part. But it's your gig to lose, and now my son is my drummer. So wow. I'm doing like the M3 festival, and I get a bunch of gigs lined up, and he's just beyond stoked. He's like, I'm going to get to go on stage and play with my dad and just, you know, play all these songs he grew up listening to. And so it's going to be cool, and I'm stoked about it because I get to do Man in the Moon and our blues breakdown, and I get to introduce everybody on the stage, and I get to introduce my kid. And all my fans have watched him grow up since he was like 3 or 4 years old. So it's cool. You know, it's awesome. A really cool thing. So I'm stoked about it.
Now, did you give, like, what you had just said you would tell people, your advice? Did you give that same advice to your son before you guys started playing together?
Well, you know what? look, obviously, when I was listening to Led Zeppelin, my dad's like, "What is this shit?" You know, fuck.
Right.
You need to listen to Frank Sinatra, whatever. And I listen to some of the stuff that my kid listens to, and it's really my kid listens to like some really, really heavy stuff. A lot of it, I love the music, but I hate the vocals because I call it the Cookie Monster, you know, that whatever. And you know, I try to give him advice, but I also try to give him advice to a point and then let him do his own thing, you know, because I don't know, like I could say this band, the music is awesome, but the singer blows, you know, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it could connect with people and wind up being the biggest thing ever. You know what I mean? So I just give him advice and I tell him what to do, but at the end of the day, I always try to turn him on. He's a drummer, so I go, "Oh, hey man, check out this solo that John Bonham did, or check out this thing like Don Brewer from Grand Funk did." So I turn him on to drummers that I grew up listening to.
Right.
And it just kind of adds to his arsenal of, you know, because he's into like guys like Morgan Rose from Seven Dust and, you know, the drummer from Slipknot and all that other kind of stuff, whatever.
Right.
But I get him to listen to the stuff that I grew up listening to, and he's like, "Oh, this is great." Wow. Like, it was weird. Like 6 or 7 months ago, I turned him on to a couple tunes by Deep Purple, like Burn, and I was showing him like some Ian Pace drumming, and he's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you need to take it all in, take all these different elements, take the Morgan Roses and the guy from Slipknot, but take John Bonham and you know, Ian Pace and put it into the stew and stir it up and get out of it what you can get out of it. And it's just going to be stuff that you're going to be able to use later when we're recording a record or doing our own thing." You know what I mean? So
right.
He gets it now. He's slowly getting it, but it's just cool for me to be able to stand on stage and have my kid like hold the anchor down behind me. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
Is it weird though to get used to, like, to turn around and see your son back there drumming for you now?
Well, it's actually not weird for me, but it's probably a little weirder for him because even the guys in my band are like, "Dude, I think your kid's just like really intimidated," because you know what I mean? My son, I love him to death, but he kind of looks up to me and he's like, I'm his idol. You know what I mean? So
right.
He doesn't want to do anything wrong, so he's probably a little more nervous with me than he would be with anybody else.
Right.
And I get it. I get it. And I just told him today we have some shows coming up. We're playing on the cruise and we're doing the M3 festival and we're doing all this stuff. And I said, "You know what, Ian, at the end of the day, I just want you to learn some of the Tommy Lee riffs and learn some of the riffs, but I just want you to put your own thing into it. Be Ian." You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
Just be your own guy. And he just has to get comfortable. He's more nervous about me playing with me than I am with him. I know he can do the parts. I know he can play the parts. And, you know, so for me to turn around and see him there, I'm proud of him, but I think he's more nervous about pleasing me than I am of me. You know what I mean? I think
right. Sure.
It's weirder for him than it is for me.
Absolutely. Wow. That's definitely cool, though. That's totally cool.
Yeah, how cool is that? Like, you know, for a guy, you know, I've been in the business for 35 or 40 years or whatever, for me to walk on stage and have my kid playing drums for me,
sure.
It's just fucking awesome, man. It's killer.
It is.
And all of my fans have seen him grow up with me all through the Scream and Motley and Union and Rat and all the shit that I've done. So they're all like, "Oh man, that's so cool that your kid is playing drums for you now," you know. So it kind of tickles me, you know what I mean? It's cool.
Now, I met you, Christ, it was probably at least 10 years ago. It was Kiss Convention in King of Prussia.
Was it at a registered sex offenders meeting or?
Come on. Are you actually registered now?
Only in 32 states.
Oh, come on. You got a couple more states to fulfill your deeds in.
I know Pennsylvania's kind of letting me down. I can't, for everything that I do, I cannot get registered there. It's just weird.
Oh, that's funny. But when I met you, I said to you, I said, what's it like to be the person that gave Motley Crue their balls back?
You know what? It's really weird. Like, I have people write to me all the time, and, you know, to each his own. Like, I have some people go, you're a fucking loser because Vince is Motley Crue. And then there's other people that are like, that was the best record they ever did. And I appreciate it. You know what I mean? And, you know, it was just, at the time, Motley needed a singer. They called me. I had nothing to do with Vince getting canned or whatever. It was already something that was done.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it was just 4 guys sitting in a room and jamming and having fun and putting music together.
Right.
I don't know if I gave them their balls back. I don't know what the deal is. Musically, I'm stupidly proud of that record, and I think, personally, I think it is one of the best records musically that they've ever done. But
without a doubt.
It, you know, to each his own. Like, some people love it, some people hate it. I don't even think about it. I'm always, honestly, if I sit and I look behind me, I'm focusing on the past. I need to look forward. And I'm
Absolutely.
just always kind of looking forward and going, I can do better. I you know, regardless, whether it happens or it doesn't, I always have to believe that I can do better than I've done in the past. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Do you get a slight chuckle, though? Because it seems like, especially over the last few weeks, I've been seeing or hearing people, they tweet Nikki all the time about that album. And it's kind of like, all right, you know, I mean, like, let it go already. Like, you guys get off on breaking his balls about it, but, like, in the back of your head, you say, yeah, I did something good with them guys.
No, you know what, honestly, when we were recording the record, I felt like I did something good with those guys. At this point, honestly, I don't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, when I do live shows, people want to hear Misunderstood or they want to hear Hooligan's Holiday or whatever. That's just part of my catalog. You know what I mean? I truly don't think about it because, sorry, I'm smoking a cigarette. At the end of the day, I'm in the process of writing and getting material together for my next electric record. And I have to constantly think, what can I do that betters my last record? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So whether it's, and when I say my last record, there's a lot of records involved. It's the Scream, it's Motley, it's Union, it's my acoustic record. I just want to do better than I did the last time. You know what I mean? Sure. And I love the Motley record. I had a great time with those guys. I'm still friends. You know, we're still totally cordial with each other. Mick Mars, I talk to Mick Mars on a extremely regular basis. Mick wants to do a solo record, so he contacted me about helping him write some material for that. And nice. I want to do my own, like a new electric solo record. So I asked Mick to play some guitar on my record for me, and he's all for it. So we're still friends. We're still good. I'm fine with Vince. You know, so I'm just moving forward, you know, like I don't really think about it. I don't overanalyze anything. It's like
Right.
I could sit here now and say, well, I peaked in 94. No, I don't think that way. It's just like that was a great record. I'm stupidly proud of it. A lot of my friends, even in Nashville, a lot of these country artists that I've met and written songs with, they're like, oh, I heard that record. That was a great record. I'm proud of it. I'm just moving forward, man. It's like onward and upward. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I don't think about it.
Now, you also ended up playing with Rat. And one question I always wondered about your time in Rat, at any time, did they ever ask you to be the singer as well?
Well, before I joined, right after Steven left, Bobby Blotz, I saw Bobby Blotzer at a place in L.A. called the Key Club, and he had talked to me about singing for the band. But at the time, I was like, you know what, dude, I don't want to go down in history as the guy that replaced a bunch of different people. I've been asked to, I don't want to say I've been asked, but my name has been in the hat for a replacement for Velvet Revolver and different bands like this. And I'm like, I'm not interested. Like, I'd rather take the long route and be my own guy than be the guy that's known for replacing a bunch of iconic singers. I'm not interested. I did it once with Motley, and I'm done.
Right.
I'll just do my own thing. You know, whether people love me or hate me, I could care less, whatever. I just do what I do. I'll do my records. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be the guy that's the replacement guy. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
So
I hear you.
They talked to me about it, and I said no. And then it was funny. We had the same manager, and then they said, well, Rat's looking for a guitar player that can sing backup vocals. I said, well, I'll do that. But I didn't have the pressure of being the guy that was replacing Stephen Pearcy. I was just like some guy in the background that, for lack of a better term, I collected a paycheck on Friday. I got to do what I love doing, playing music, and I just went and I toured the world, and I was just like, you know, like a hired guy that was in Rat for a while. And
Gotcha.
I was okay with that until I figured out what I wanted to do. So it all worked out.
Now, going back to you living in Nashville, it really seems like Nashville is really like where it was considered, you know, country for years, the home of country music. It seems like it's really become more of a rock and roll capital as well now.
Well, it's just weird. Like I think Nashville has become, you know, yes, for a long time Nashville was associated with country music, but now you have, you know, the guys from Cinderella, like 3 of the 4 guys in Cinderella live here.
Right.
Winger, Kip Winger lives here. Mark Slaughter lives here. The Nelson brothers live here. Robert Plant lives here. Sheryl Crow lives here. Kid Rock has a place here. Robert Plant lives here. So, or he has a place here. Jack White, the Black Keys, the Kings of Leon, they all live here. They're born and raised here. The thing that I can say about Nashville is that it's a musical town. Like, and I love everything. I'll listen to anything. I'll listen to rap. I'll listen to rock. I'll listen to some country music, you know, I'll listen to folk music. It's all prevalent here. And so Nashville is completely saturated with the best songwriters, the best session players, we have great studios here. And then to boot, it's a very small town, so everybody's really laid back, and you can walk into a bar to go have a drink, and some guy that doesn't even have anything to do with music will sit down and sit down next to you and just start talking, and you get his story, he gets your story, and it's I don't know, it's very much like when I was growing up in Philadelphia. It's that kind of Wonder Years thing where everybody knew everybody's business, everybody watched out for each other, and
right.
You know what I mean? I can't explain it any other way than that, but there's just it's just kind of like a big city with a small town vibe. It's very cool, and I like that. I like being able to talk to my neighbors. I have barbecues at my house, and my neighbors come over, and just people just show up, and they hang out, and they bring a bottle of tequila and some beer, and we just grill out, and we talk, and we play guitars, and
nice.
just sit in my backyard, and it's just cool. I just can't explain it, but it's not what I had in L.A.
Wow.
I had it when I was growing up in Philadelphia, but I think even to a degree, Philadelphia's kind of become like this huge major city that, there's a disconnect there, and I miss that. I miss the connection with other human beings. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I think it's just like the generation today. I mean, it's not like when we were kids where everybody was like, on your street. Like I grew up in Upper Darby, a couple blocks from the Tower Theater, but my parents were South Philly, so
right.
Just everybody on that block knew everybody, and even in Upper Darby, everybody on my block, we all knew each other, and at night everybody sat out on the front steps and talked and socialized and stuff like that, and you don't see that no more.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like when it snowed, if there was an old lady living next to you, you shovel their sidewalk. You know what I mean? It's like there's not that thing in a lot of the major cities anymore, and that's one of the things that I love about Nashville. Like, it doesn't snow here often, but the last time we had any sort of a snowfall where there was accumulation, I did my sidewalk, and then I did my neighbor's sidewalk and my other neighbor's sidewalk, just because, like, they're my neighbors. Like, I talk with them, we hang out, we do barbecues together, blah blah blah, whatever. And you just did what it was like lending a helping hand, but they would do the same thing for me, So it's that's that disconnect that I miss. And that's why I came to Nashville. I miss that. I love the fact that people know each other. I dated a girl one time that was from a very small town in Georgia, and she's like, I don't like that everybody knows your business. And I'm like, then just don't give them anything to talk about. It's kind of simple. It's really kind of simple. If you're sucking a dick at the fucking Piggly Wiggly in the parking lot, then people are going to talk bad. If you're shoveling your neighbor's sidewalk, then they're going to talk good. You know what I mean? Just don't give them anything to talk about.
I'll never look at a Piggly Wiggly the same now.
Yes, don't look at Piggly. Yes. But it's the truth. I mean, if you really, truly think about it, it's like, if you have ugly drama and everybody knows about it, then they're going to talk about that. If you have good drama and, there's, you're being a reasonably good person, then, and I kind of pride myself on being someone that's helpful, and, I try to do benefits. I try to do, the right thing. And I've always tried to be like a good dad, a good, boyfriend, good husband, whatever. I don't give anybody anything to talk about.
Right.
So take it for what it's worth. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Right. Now, something you've been doing more, it seems, over the last few years is really doing a lot of acoustic stuff. Is there any specific reason why, or is just something you've just been wanting to do, or?
No, it's just, I did an acoustic record. I went out and I did an acoustic record, and I was very much, I thought those, MTV acoustic on Storyteller things were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
When I did the Scream album, I was very fortunate to meet Peter Frampton and Steve Marriott. They were putting Humble Pie back together. And they came and they watched us rehearse and do our pre-production for our record. And Steve Marriott said something to me years ago that just kind of clicked with me. And he said, I really dig your songs. At the end of the day, if you can go out and you can play music with an acoustic guitar and a great melody, then and entertain people, it's a great song. And so I did an acoustic record, and most of the places that I've played hasn't really wanted me to bring my whole band. They're like, oh, well, we'll just have John come out, and I'll just go out and I'll do a weekend here, a weekend there, whatever. And I'll just go and play an acoustic thing, and I do a storyteller stuff, and I talk about why I wrote this song or how I wrote that song, whatever. And it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's funny, and then I play my music, and so far people have dug it, you know what I mean? But it's just because of the acoustic record I did, and I did the acoustic record because of everything I told you, so.
I think that's just so amazing, though, for a person, whether it's you or anybody, to be able just to get up there with a guitar and a microphone and just be able to, pour out from their heart and emotion and just let it go. And, I mean, you're one of the guys that can really do that. And, I just think that's friggin' awesome for anybody that can really do that.
Well, it's funny because Tom Kiefer, the first real acoustic thing that I did, I opened for Cinderella a couple of years ago, and we probably did 40 dates or 50 dates or whatever, and I opened up for them, and they were very cool to me. They made sure that I was taken care of, and they let me ride on their Crue bus, and so it was just I jumped on the bus and I took off and went on tour with them. And it was funny because one night we had off, and I went to a movie with Tom Kiefer and our tour manager, Larry Morand. And, it was really funny because Tom turned to me and he goes, dude, it takes balls to do what you're doing. I love the fact that you can get on stage and tell your stories and play your songs and entertain everybody for 45 minutes before we go on, and people are digging it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's cool. And you know what? It took me some time. The first couple ones that I did, it was hit or miss, and I was just kind of figuring it out. And then once I got out there, I figured out some cool stories to tell, and I have my little verbal lead-ins to different songs, but Tom was like, it's fucking awesome. I don't know if I could do what you're doing by myself, if I could walk on stage and do what you're doing by yourself. But somehow it works.
Right.
And it's weird because I've known Tom, Tom and I started playing all the clubs, the Dick Lee's and Heaven and Penalty Box and all these places in New Jersey and Delaware, and we started out together. And for him to give me that kind of kudos, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So
back in the day, in the early '80s, when Cinderella did the Patch Dogs commercial, were you jealous of them?
The Pat's hot dog thing?
Pat's chili dogs.
It's It's really funny because I didn't even know they did that commercial until about 3 or 4 years ago. Somebody showed it to me, and I'm like, what? You guys did a hot dog commercial? This totally trumps my tampon commercial.
Yeah, I remember seeing it when I was a kid. As a matter of fact, I saw it when I was a kid, and I was like, holy shit, those dudes are cool as shit, and I want to be like them.
Yeah. And you know what? In all honesty, like all of those guys, I'm really good friends with Jeff and Eric and Freddie and Tom. Tom, actually, my girlfriend owns a hair salon in Nashville. Tom and his wife come and get their hair cut, and Jeff comes and get his hair cut. And I've done some other shows, like there's this little side thing I do called Lost Angels, and Eric's involved in that now. So we're all stupidly good friends, and I'll even like do barbecues and different things and invite them to my house and whatever. We're all really good friends. We've known each other for 30 years,
sure.
25 or 30 years, and I have a ton of respect for all of those guys, and the fact that Tom even gave me kudos about doing an acoustic thing really truly means a lot to me. So I'm very pleased that, and I've got a ton of them. Like I'm trying to get my agent to like book my band and like let's go out and do some electric things. And I've literally got like 50 gigs just with me with an acoustic guitar. Like people are like, nah, let's just have Corabi come in with an acoustic guitar. So I'm trying to turn it around so that I can get my band out there. And my kid's like, I want to go to Europe. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, as soon as I'm done these, you know, whatever, it's funny. But I'm truly blessed. I'm very happy at the fact that I've been able to do what I've been able to do, and the fact that I can go out and play gigs. You know, I'm actually playing some shows in Philly pretty soon, or in the Philly area, in Pennsauken.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
It's weird. I'm doing like 3 shows at a place called the Savoy, and I'm just literally showing up with an acoustic guitar and telling stories and playing songs, and I'm like, fuck, like this is crazy. It's awesome, but I'm blessed. It's all good.
That's awesome. Now, looking back over your career, what do you think is like your proudest moment, songwriting wise? Like, which song is your true baby that you're really the proudest of?
Honestly, like, the ones that I get the most, probably the most response out of, and I acknowledge it, would probably be Father, Mother, Son from the Scream record, and then Misunderstood from the Motley record. Those 2 songs, for some reason, just seem to stick with everybody. Like when I do them, even in my acoustic set, I'll play those songs and I get like just a huge response from both of those tunes. So I think like Father, Mother, Son, I can't explain it. That was a song that literally I wrote in probably an hour. Like music, lyrics, melody, everything. It just came to me. And then Misunderstood was probably the 2nd or 3rd song that Motley and I wrote together as a band. And for some reason, they're the 2 that like really stick with everybody. And they're the ones that I probably get the most emails for. So I'll say those 2.
Cool. Very cool. So, yeah, so you're coming up to Philly May 16th and 17th.
Well, there's a 15th at the Savoy as well, but it's a private party. So I'm doing the 15th, 16th, and 17th at the Savoy, and then the 18th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and then the 18th I'm in a town called Garwood, New Jersey, which I think is in North Jersey.
Yeah, I think that's North Jersey.
Yeah, so, but it's cool. My dad hasn't been feeling all that well lately, and, you know, so I was just home this last weekend to see my dad. He's, between me, you, and the fence post, he's been dealing with cancer issues. So I went home to see him, and and it's cool. So that weekend I'm there. I'm going to be able to come home and play some shows, and then kind of hang out with my dad in the afternoon, and just take him to lunch or take him to dinner, and then go work, and then get up the next day and hang out and do whatever I got to do. So it's been it's going to be cool to like come home again and hang out with my family and see everybody, and especially hang out with my dad. So it's going to be cool.
Nice. Very nice. Cool. Well, the CD, as a matter of fact, your Unplugged CD, where can everybody get that one? Where's,
You know what? They can get it at ratpackrecords.com. It's available on iTunes, Best Buy, Amazon. It's out there. If you just punch in John Corabi Unplugged, it'll come up somewhere. But through the internet, it's available in a ton of different places. So just do your homework, www. Whatever, and just go to Google and punch in John Corabi Unplugged, and it'll come up somewhere.
So are you a fan of all the new, like social media and iTunes and all that stuff?
Yeah, actually, like, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little bit of a computer illiterate. It took me about 6 months to figure out how to turn my laptop on. But, at the end of the day, I love the fact that I have direct contact with people all over the world, and it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? So I'm on Facebook, I'm on MySpace, Twitter, Reverb Nation, like all these different things, and people write to me all the time, and I try to answer as many as I can. But at the end of the day, it really does give me an opportunity to just be one-on-one with people from everywhere. Like I talk to people from Spain and Russia and wherever. So it's pretty cool. Like I'm totally for it. The YouTube thing is genius, so any band, you don't need that big budget from a record label anymore. You can do a video. You can do your own handheld video and put it on YouTube and throw it out there, and it's giving you access to the world. So I'm all about it. You know what I mean? I love it. I love the fact that we're, at a click of a finger, you're putting something out that's going to reach the world, not just your neighborhood. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, too bad we didn't have it back in the day. It might have made things a little bit easier.
Yeah, like you were saying, you found a flyer from the Waverly Theater and, whatever. But it's like, at the end of the day, back then, if I could have gone on Facebook and said, hey, I'm playing a Led Zeppelin tribute show at the Waverly Theater on this day, blah, 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 and I put it out to all of the zip codes on the East Coast, right. It may have been even better than it was. So
sure,
it's pretty cool. Like the fact that you have at a fingertip, you're connected to the world. It's pretty awesome. So
cool. It's definitely cool. Well, anything else you want to plug before I let you go?
Well, can I plug Tasty Cakes? I really kind of missed those.
They just
yes, Tasty Cakes. I love the butterscotch crimpets, and I love the cupcakes with the cream filling and the icing on top. They're awesome. Nice. So if anybody comes to my shows at the Savoy, if they want to bring those, I'd really appreciate it.
They just celebrated their 100th birthday or something too, like a week or two ago.
Dude, and it's so weird because I go to like grocery stores now here in Nashville, and they're here. I'm like, what?
Really?
It's oh yeah, dude. They're like I guess apparently my brother, I was just in Philly last weekend, and my brother's like, oh yeah, they got bought out by like Hostess or something. So like Tasty Cakes they're not just a Philly thing anymore. They're kind of national. So like I can get butterscotch crimpets and the chocolate cupcakes and the coconut juniors and all that. I can get all that stuff right here in Nashville now. So I'm very excited about it.
That's cool. Very cool.
although I can't fit into my leather pants that I used to wear in Motley, which is a bad thing. But so I totally blame that on Tasty Cake as well. As much as I love them, I hate them.
Believe me, I feel your pain. I wouldn't be able to fit in the pants from a month ago.
Yeah, listen, chocolate cupcakes by Tasty Cake and Patron Silver I'm pretty sure you're not going to fit into your leather pants at gig time. So whatever.
So which one do you prefer to cut out, the Tasty Cakes or the Patron?
I'm going to go with the Patron. I have issues. I have issues. We'll talk about this. This is another show story.
Awesome. John, thanks so much, man. It was really cool talking to you. Come back anytime, and I hope I get to see you on May 16th, 17th, or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Come up and say hello, and let's go have a drink at the bar. After I'm done playing, every time I get done playing, I go right to the bar. I sit there. I'll take photos. I'll sign shit, whatever. But at the end of the day, I just want to sit down and have a beer or a cocktail and just hang out and talk to people. So if you're at one of the shows, come up and let's hang.
Tasty Cakes and Patron.
Okay, it's all about your gifts, buddy.
Awesome. Hey, can I get you to cut a quick ID too before I let you go? This is John Corabi, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio.
Yep.
Go for it.
Tell me when.
Whenever you're ready.
Hey, kids, this is John Corabi, and you're listening to Totally Driven Radio. Turn it up, make it loud, make it proud, and have a tasty cake. See ya!
Awesome. All right, John, thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. All right, be good.
You too.
All right,
Later. Here he is, everybody. John Corabi. That was pretty awesome. How about that one, Nick?
Yeah, I like how he added the Tasty Cake thing at the end there.
I never had Tasty Cakes and Patron. It was always Tasty Cakes and milk, so that's something new.
Yeah.
I have a song of his to play. I guess I should play it. It's only like 2 minutes long. It's off his Unplugged CD. Let me play that. Let's show some love to John Corabi. This is Love Shine by John Corabi from his Unplugged CD, which you can get at ratpackrecords.com, or I think his website is johncorabimusic.com. But like he said, go to Google and Google it. So here it is.